Warmly welcoming you to How Does She Do It, the podcast, with me, your host, Jo Ferroni. Join me on my journey as I explore finding a gentle balance in both business and life, because being kind to ourselves is our superpower. My guest this week is Jane Kent, another inspirational business owner that I'm lucky enough to know. Jane's business, Jane Kent Studio, aims to spread kindness and positivity. What's not to love? The business was established to create beautifully hand-stitched gifts and homewares using freehand machine embroidery, bringing together Jane's love for sewing, colour and pretty patterns too. With embroidery skills honed over the years at the sewing machine, Jane single-handedly creates each individual item with great care and attention, and I believe that you really have to see it to believe it. Do check out her beautiful Instagram at Jane Kent Studio. In today's conversation, we cover lots, including the growth of Jane's business, and I learned that her forward planning and clear boundaries are such a very important part of her success. I know you're going to take lots away just like I did, and I really hope that you'll enjoy. Before we head to the show, I wanted to take a moment to share with you the absolute joy I felt from hosting How Does She Do It networking this month. Now, don't get me wrong, I love every event that I host, but there was even more magic than usual this month. The connection, the positivity and vulnerability created a very beautiful energy, and we all left with such a positive spring in our step. I feel really honoured that people choose to come to my events, and I really feel blessed to hear of so much good that comes out of them too. From sales to ideas, collaborations to friendships, and so much more. I've actually lost count of the positive messages I've received over the years, and I'm actually a little bit reticent to share many. Actually, it's something that I need to really start working on here, because I should be celebrating the wonderfulness that comes from these events. I'm very, very proud, but not so good at shouting out about it. So today, I just wanted to share a few from the June event. You've created something magical. Simply the best networking community around. Really gorgeous morning. Jo creates such a welcoming and nurturing atmosphere. I'm so humbled to hear that I make a difference, and I would love you to experience my events too. Please know that you don't even need to have a business to attend. Simply come and join us for the inspiration. I'd love you to join us before we pause for summer. We're meeting online, so it doesn't matter where you're based in the world, on Tuesday the 6th of July. To secure your space, simply head to the link in the show notes or head directly over to my website, howdoesshedoit.life, and click the events page. For now, let's go to the show. Hello, Jane, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's lovely to have you with us today, and I'm so excited to be sharing with our listeners another amazing businesswoman that I have not actually worked with, but I guess we will come on to how we met in a moment, if that's okay. But I wonder whether we might start by you telling us a little bit about you and your business.
So my name's Jane, and I run a business called Jane Kent Studio, which I run from my home. I'm lucky to have a room in the house that I use, and I freehand embroider gifts. And the main meaning behind my business is all about positivity and kindness, and being a bit nicer to each other, and with little pops of colour, and making gifts and keepsakes. Really,
I love that. I love it. Now, I will tell our listeners how I came across you, and that was probably about 2 or 3 years ago now, I think, where you were one of the amazing stall holders at Kirsty Allsop's Handmade Fair. And it was just such I'm getting all fuzzy just thinking about it. It was such an inspiring place to be. And then to be able to meet people like yourself who run a business from your incredible creative talents. It was just so wonderful to see you up there. And my friend who I went to the event with, was on the school run with me this morning, and she was so excited to hear that I was interviewing you today. So a little shout out. Jo asked me to say hello to you,
Oh,
and that she's really looking forward to hearing this little chat that we have.
that's really lovely, because like often like now, obviously most of my things are online, so actually like, but lots of people have followed me from meeting me at events like that, and it's lovely to have that connection with people and that conversation, so it's nice.
Yeah, I think it's actually really, it's such a treat for someone like myself. And actually, Jo is really creative herself. So, she was probably coming to the event with a different view in a way to me, because she does create a lot of things as well. But it feels such a treat to be able to speak to someone like yourself, because we see what we see online of your amazing products, and I think your photography of your products is incredible as well. And I know that you do all of that too. But to be able to talk to the person behind a business is just something that I find so incredibly inspiring. So thank you for actually taking the time to speak to us that day. It really made it a massive difference.
Oh, well, I always, when I go to fairs like that, try and take someone else with me, because I know lots of people. I like to chat to people. I'm a chatterbox. So actually, to have someone with me who can can maybe take control of the stand, and it gives me the time to have a conversation with people, which is lovely.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I do think that it makes a real connection with your customers, actually, and I think that to know that we are supporting a real life person who has their life that we are contributing to, it just makes it feel all the more real to me. I really love it. Now, I absolutely was drawn to your work when I first saw it, and you spread positivity and kindness with the work that you do. And I also feel that a lot of your products offer us affirmations as well. And positive affirmations, particularly at a time like this, when the world is going through or has been through such a difficult time. I should imagine that your affirmations have helped so many people as gifts for others, but also for people for themselves.
Yeah, no, definitely. This last year has been from going through a bit of panic, thinking, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Actually, people have been sending my frames and my little banners and things all over to their friends, and to read some of the messages that people have put in as a gift, like with their gift messages to send direct to mum or friends or anything like that. It's just been so lovely, and it's been such an honor. If you add a gift message, I don't just print it off and stick it on. I always think it's that someone's going out their way to send something personal, so I'm going to just give that personal little notes. Yeah, it's been such an honor to send them.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And I mean, people will see when they look at your work, and I will obviously be sharing your handles and your website and everything in the show notes, and we'll talk about it at the end as well. But people will be able to see exactly what some of your work is. And I was about to say, your handwritten notes offer the most beautiful handwriting as well. But of course they do, because that's, if you can do beautiful handwriting in embroidery, then you can definitely do beautiful real handwriting as well. But your packaging and just the overall presentation of the gifts is a treat in itself, I believe, and it looks like you've spent a lot of time getting that right.
Yeah, I have. I think because there's an awful lot of competition within the handmade market. And for me, it was just making sure my work stands out. So with Andy, who is the man who designed my website for me, we've worked really hard to kind of make sure everything follows the whole way through. So whether you're receiving something from me to then pass it straight on, it's a gift for you when you're opening it. And we're just making sure like everything now is all kind of on par. But I'm really happy how it's all kind of finally come together.
So that brings me on quite nicely, actually, to ask you, when did you start the business, and what made you start the business?
So I've got a son, Thomas, who is now 11, in his last few weeks of primary school. So when he was little, I was working for a charity that organises events and activities for the elderly. We worked within retirement villages. So and I loved my job, but it was often included, overnight stays, really long hours, things like that. And I didn't feel right going out to work for really long days. So I decided that I would stop. So I gave up work. I think in about the September time, literally as he turned 2. And by the February, I'd set up my business. And it wasn't intentional. I wasn't giving up work to set up a business. It was, so I never had to make that leap. I just started doing just little bits and bobs. So a little bit of sewing here, a little bit of sewing there. And I used to do a lot of face painting and balloons because that had been my trade through work. We used dress events, things. And as he's got bigger, the business has got bigger. And, you know, from going to lots of markets to then having the confidence to sell online, you know, so it's just grown as he's grown. And now he needs me less. I can work a little bit more. So it's been a nice evolving kind of few years, really. And yeah, I've been in business 10 years next February.
Goodness me, that's incredible. Okay, so what I picked up there was that because you didn't almost put the pressure on yourself that you had to replace a job with a new business, do you feel that maybe your creativity had that opportunity to really, really kind of flourish without having that almost pressure to strangle it?
Absolutely. I think because, yeah, as you're saying, I didn't have to replace a job. So actually, and because I was a mum to a toddler and I didn't have a lot of time. So actually there was no pressure and it was a little bit of an outlet to me, and it's just grown naturally. And the business has just developed like organically the whole way through. So there was, I think, not having that pressure to kind of put on myself that you had to replace an income was a massive help for me.
Yeah, I can really understand that. And I think that it's really important now that we talk about how not only has your business grown, but you've got to the point where you have been thinking about, well, let's talk about last Christmas, if that's okay. I feel like a song should come on. No, we're not going to sing Last Christmas. But last Christmas, I remember seeing a post from you very early on, and you might remember when it was. And it was basically saying, I have got so much, or I've had so many orders come in that I'm having to close the website even earlier than I normally do. And you normally have to close it fairly early because, of course, your work takes a lot of time and you want to make the Christmas orders.
Yeah. So for me, if people are ordering for Christmas from me, I want to make sure their orders get sent very, very latest the 10th of December, which allows the post and things like that. So normally I stop taking my orders. I normally say it's normally almost to the 1st of December. Occasionally the last week in November, but it's never been as early as it was. And I launched Christmas even earlier last year, quite in September, thinking, yeah, if I do it a little bit early, there's some really eager people, which is great, and they get their orders in and things like that. But I can't remember the exact date I ordered it, but literally bang, it was like I didn't get a day off between first week in September and mid-December. It was just like, whoo, what's happened here? And I think because of obviously with everything that had gone on, people wanted really special Christmas presents, and the star decorations I was making last year obviously really hit home and people really liked them. Loads of people were sharing them, and it was just like, wow, what's going on here? It's just like I just couldn't process what was going on because it was just orders. and then it got to the point, I think it was really early November, like the very first weekend in November, and I was like, I can't take on anymore. And I just said, I'm really sorry, the website's going to have to close. I closed it almost in a bit of a panic, really relieved that I'd asked Andy to put that function on the website, because up until that point it wasn't there. Because I'd already planned, thinking actually we've had a crazy year with COVID and everything. I want to close for December and January, or I just want to have a little bit of a break. So I'm so glad that function was there. So I closed it, took a bit of a breather, worked out what I'd got in, how much I could take more. And I think I worked out I could take another 200 orders. And I said, on this Friday, I'm going to open it. I can't remember what time it was, maybe say 7:00. And thinking it would last till the weekend, it was an hour and 4 minutes, an hour and 5 minutes, and those 200, and I just had to stop, and that was it. So in the end, I didn't take any orders from really early November until February. But like my order list at that point was kind of up to about 4.5 weeks long. So it was all just a bit like, oh.
Wow. I mean, you're selling out like Beyonce tickets or something. This is amazing. That opportunity you gave people for that extra little surge was filled so quickly. Those orders were filled so quickly. Just amazing. Are you really proud of what you have achieved and what you've created.
I am now looking back. At the time, it was just so overwhelming. It was just a bit, oh, and because it was COVID, I couldn't get people into the house to help because I work at home, you know, and you weren't allowed mixed households and all those kind of things. So, but now looking back, I'm thinking, wow, I tackled that. You know, I did that. Well, you know, I'm really proud. And then it's made me realise actually what needs putting in place for this Christmas. So I've already been making, you know, sorting out and prepping from when I reopened in February for Christmas, because actually it's to hopefully make the process a bit smoother and maybe not close quite so early.
Absolutely. Well, what a lovely problem to have. I know that it was overwhelming, and I don't doubt that you had some very stressful moments. And I would love to just say, well done for taking that time off as well. I think that's really empowering. And I think it's very inspiring for other business owners to hear that, you know, you can't continue at that level. However resilient someone is, there has got to be a limit to how much we put ourselves through, and I respect that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think it made me realise actually taking that break is I'm going to do it annually now. With, you know, so January is always a quiet month anyway, and so from when last orders are closed to the beginning of February every year, I will be closed now, because it's important for me, it's important for my family, it's important for my sanity, and physically, you know, by the time I get to Christmas, I'm exhausted, which is kind of why I like to make sure everything's sent early in December, because actually I can breathe a little bit, catch up, and enjoy your family Christmas. Because there's been that many years when I've worked all the way up to Christmas Eve, and it gets to Christmas and you're like, oh. And actually, it's not what I want. It's not why I'm working for myself, to be in a stressed state all the time.
Well done for recognizing that. I think that will resonate with so many people. I think sometimes we feel we need to do everything for everyone. And so you would have been working up until Christmas Eve because you didn't want to let down the clients and what have you. But by building the boundaries and putting them in place to suit yourself and to still give people the opportunity to buy your gifts, let's be honest, it's not like you're telling them they can't, just by encouraging people to think a little bit earlier. And actually, you know, this episode is going out in the middle of June. I'm inspired already by speaking with you today to think ahead for Christmas. And I know actually that if I am like your sort of September orderers who are really well organized, if I am like them, I'm going to feel so much better, because I always want to support small businesses anyway. I love things that are different and creative and heartfelt. And I can get some Christmas shopping done really early, so I'm not having that crazy panic in December. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think because like I've already done my samples for this year, they are ready for because I've now got a VA, so they're ready to send to her soon, so she can write my product descriptions. I do a lot of my photography, but I've also started outsourcing it, so there's another batch ready to go to the photographer. So actually I've got my photos back early summer, so it's not stressful, it's not a rush. And I can just encourage people to shop early and think about it, because if it's a crazy, you know, if I have to close in October, I'll close in October. I close when I realise I've got to my capacity. And it's just encouraging people to think that actually, if you want a handmade gift or something that's unique, it takes time to make. So there's only so much prep I can do for a personalised Christmas decoration, because I need to wait for you, Joe, or somebody to say, I would like it to say, Frankie's on the nice list, or whatever it is. I can't do that until I've got it, and I can only physically make so many things, and I need sleep. I'm a creature that needs my rest and my sleep, and that's something I've really learned, is to make sure I'm looking after myself, especially at busy times.
Well done. A couple of things there. First of all, I just know that people are going to be listening to this, women are going to be listening to this thinking, wow, Jane is such a good example here. I'm going to stop pushing myself quite as hard as I am. I'm going to start putting the parameters in place to work for me. And of course we want to serve our clients, but I do think that sometimes a lot of people do sort of tip, the scales tip a little bit too far in the other direction, and we end up like wearing ourselves out, hitting burnout. And when you said, you're a creature who needs your sleep, well, sleep is actually the most important thing for our health and our well-being. So well done for recognizing it and well done for honouring it, I guess.
I think because I'm like 9 years in, I kind of realised that I've learned so many lessons. I've learned, and don't get me wrong, if I've got a deadline, I will be getting up early and doing it, but I won't be doing it consistently. So say like in February when I reopened, it was also a really crazy busy time. I think I had 6 weeks when it was just like, whew, but I was really strong with myself. It's like, yeah, I will work in the evenings because that's family life. I will after he's gone to bed, but I won't be getting up early and I'm looking after myself. And actually it made me be able to cope with it better because I wasn't exhausted. I wasn't making the mistakes because I was tired. But that's a big lesson that I've learned, I guess, really. And I think that's what experience teaches us.
Definitely. And so you talk about looking after yourself. I'd love to hear from you about anything that you do that is something that is kind of non-negotiable in your life. Is there anything that you do for you which keeps you happy, keeps you healthy, relaxed?
I swim. I really enjoy swimming. So I swim 4 times a week. There is no negotiation in that. Sunday mornings is my morning. I get up and I go, and there's a pool on the way to school. So it's a bit of a detour, but I can tie it in with my school run. And I go and I try and swim a mile, and there's no phones in there. There's no distractions in there. It's just me. And so I've really missed that over lockdown. Now we're back to it. I'm kind of getting back up to making sure I'm going all the time, and walking as well. I walk the dog every day, and my phone gets left at home. I'm only out for half an hour or so, but actually just to be out in the countryside. We're quite lucky where we live. We're in right on the edge of a village, so actually just being out in the fresh air and no distractions, no notifications or anything like that. That's the big thing for me. So
I love that. Yeah, it's interesting that those two things that you absolutely do for yourself are very mindful and tech free as well. I think that that's a wonderful message to share, because I love the fact that in a swimming pool you cannot have your phone with you.
No.
And you are able to just be in your own head, with as many thoughts or as few thoughts as you require at that time. Because sometimes I think it can be thinking time, can't it, when we're swimming? But other times you might just want to just count your strokes or count your lengths.
Yeah, that's all I do actually. I try and have that hour of just wiping my brain, just try not to think about anything or to-do lists or anything like that. And it is just counting, and it's rhythmic, and it's I try and do about an hour. So actually it's just that kind of, it's just relaxing, and then I always feel so much better for going. I've got a bit more energy, a bit more bounce in my step, and having that bit of time. Because I think when you run a business and you're a mum, and especially a business that's in your home, there's always that temptation to go, I'll just go and do, and I do it. I won't say I don't, but actually I'm away from the house, I'm not in the house, I've got no tech, no one can reach me. It's what you need, I think.
Definitely. Well done you. I really wish I could swim for an hour. I really admire that. I'm not a strong swimmer at all. So well done you. Much respect to you.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you what you have found to be the toughest thing working for yourself.
Quite easily, it's loneliness, actually, because I live in a village. My husband doesn't occasionally works from home, but not very often. Thomas is out for school. And often the only person I speak to during the day is the lady in the post office. And I prepare all my posts and I just drop the bags in, and it's just a hello. So for me, it is just that kind of isolating kind of feeling at times. I have got lots of people I connect with online, but to have colleagues or to have just be able to kind of just run an idea past somebody or just have a chat, that's for me, that is the hardest. I think the other thing, I suppose it's something I've got used to over time and I'm now prepared for, is that fluctuating income. So but now I'm used to it now, and I'm very kind of organized with it all, because at the minute it's gone quiet because things have changed. So we had relaxations of rules, so people don't shop online for a little bit, and just that kind of getting used to it. But
yeah, you have to be fairly flexible, I guess, with that. But I guess, a trust in, once you've done it for as many years as you've done it, you've got a trust in your business. And that actually maybe the quieter times are the times when perhaps you get out for longer dog walks, or, you take some time out with friends. But I really hear you on the loneliness. And that's exactly why I set up How Does She Do It, the free Facebook group, because
Yeah.
I was loving the business that I was running, the first business that I started up, really loving it, had happy customers, had income coming in, even though, you know, I was a mum who was juggling school runs and stuff, but I wasn't quite happy. And it took me a while to realize I was just incredibly lonely. And I think that another thing that I love, if you like, about How Does She Do It is that it is the discussions around, you know, new ideas and what have you, but also I think that when we have a bit of a struggle in our business, or a hiccup, or a tricky client, or what have you, that situation can kind of build. I always use this sort of visual kind of feeling of something building up on our shoulders until we actually be able to just share it with someone who perhaps isn't our partner or isn't a close friend, but is someone who also runs a business, because they kind of, in inverted commas, get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've got a lovely community around me, you know, people I've met through Instagram, people I've met through shows that I connect with. So, you know, I do have people like that you can bounce it off, but it is just that kind of isolation, that loneliness that actually, it's just the toughest thing, I think, really. But then actually, I do love working for myself and working from home. So it's just kind of that balance, really. And I suppose now that things are lifting, we can, you know, some of the network groups I belong to, they'll be starting back up again. I can get back out. And, yeah.
Definitely. I think we'll appreciate the in-person networking more than we ever appreciated it before. Yeah. I mean, as business owners, it's brilliant to be able to get out and talk with people. But when you've had 15 months, 18 months of not being able to do that thing, I think we're going to be very grateful for it indeed. I'm certainly looking forward to starting mine up again. So I've talked about the tough things. It's really important we talk about the good things. What is the absolute, or maybe the two absolute best things about running your own business?
For me, it's flexibility. So actually, yes, I have really busy times, but I also know when there's quiet times and things. But it's meant I haven't missed a sports day. I haven't missed an assembly. I've been able to do all those things that are really, really important to me. You know, I can take 2 months off, you know, from December and January. I can ease my work down in the summer to be able to be at home during the summer holidays. That for me is the most important thing. And that's why there's no way I'd ever go back to working for somebody else.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And how much your son must appreciate having you there when he needs you, and, you know, seeing him as he grows, as he progresses. I think it's really special.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, he's off to senior school in September. So, you know, I know that time that I've had with him is going to get less and less. Now he's, you know, going off to the big school and he'll be wanting to do more with his friends and things. But I'm so grateful that I was able to do that for him and be there. And I try and have a rule that when he comes home from school, you know, I have a good hour where I'm, you know, with him chatting or whatever, or homework, or even if I'm just downstairs while he's pottering around, just to be there.
I love that connection. I just don't think anything can really replace it.
No, it can't, definitely not. And I think because my husband's job means he's not always at home, actually, he's had a consistent person at home all the time from, you know, all of his life.
Oh, I love that. That's made my heart go all fuzzy. That's really, it's really lovely to hear. Lucky, I feel he's a very lucky boy, and I'm sure he's incredibly grateful for you, for sure.
So we'll see. Not when I ask him to do his homework, he's not.
and possibly not when he hits his teenage years either. But you
know, yeah.
I speak from current experience.
Oh dear.
No, I'm joking. In the long run, I know that it will make a wonderful, wonderful difference to their lives. I think it's brilliant. So, Jane, as you know, the name of my business is How Does She Do It? Because I believe that she doesn't do it all. Otherwise, I just think it can go a little bit pear-shaped, basically. Yeah. So I wondered whether you might be able to tell me what you do or don't do to ensure that you remain on track and healthy and happy.
Well, for me, it's asking for help for things that other people could do for me. So we have a cleaner, because actually a morning's cleaning it's a morning, a Saturday morning, that's family time taken. I now have a VA who helps me write my newsletters, my product descriptions. I've outsourced my photography, not all of it, but a big chunk of it. So those jobs that would take up my time, that I can actually get someone else to do, and I can carry on sewing. That's how I do it, I think.
Absolutely brilliant. And that's going to give some people listening an opportunity to think and maybe give themselves permission to stop doing it all. So thank you for sharing those.
Yeah. I think I spent such a long time trying to do it all, and then realizing actually I can't grow a business and do it all. And I embroider by hand, so I can't ask somebody to do the embroidery for me. What else can I get people to do? So I've got somebody lined up for September to come and pack for me all the way through to Christmas as a trial run. So actually that's the next step, is just starting to take on staff and see where that goes, really.
I love that. Now, this episode is going out in the middle of June. Is there anything you would like to share with my audience? And if nothing else, maybe we should get in the Christmas mention. Is there anything you'd like to share with the audience? And also, please give us your handle for social media.
Okay, so middle of June, so at the minute you'll be able to get your thank you teacher gifts. So obviously teachers have worked so amazing hard this year, so they'll all be available online till the end of June. And then early September, Christmas is coming, so start thinking about your favourite businesses. Wait for them, keep an eye on what they're doing to see when they're releasing things. And my social media, so on Instagram I am at JaneKent_studio, and I think it's the same on Facebook, or just Jane Kent Studio on Facebook.
Awesome. I love that. Well, look, I'll make sure that we pop your contact details in the show notes for everyone to be able to check out and come back to. And I wanted to thank you so much for joining me today. I could carry on speaking for much, much longer with you, but it's been an absolute honor and a joy. And I know that our listeners are going to take so much from your wisdom and everything that you've shared today. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been the first podcast I've done. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, I'd love you to take a moment to share and subscribe too. Come and join me over at How Does She Do It Life on both Facebook and Instagram. And until we speak again, I wish you a wonderful week ahead.